Well, hello there, chums. Right, I'm going to do a bit of a breakdown on the new lore that's inside of the weekend missions. I'm going to be doing this each week. So, on the actual mission brief, it said this before, and it said it all the time, but Nada is using some sort of space loom. Now, when you look up loom in Greek mythology, there were like three spinsters that would have wires and threads connected to each individual in the universe. And when they cut them with silver scissors, it would sever their consciousness to reality. Which is a bit bizarre that he's using a loom and it's in Greek mythology. Ariadne in Greek mythology follows her beloved into a maze that has like a giant minotaur in there. But it's more about what she's saying right here, which is a little bit strange. After you hop over, that bit's not too bad. But then when you get on to the next one, there we go, trace the route ahead, here we are. We are not bored to run and hide like a traveller. The time has come. Now, we're referred to as anomalies, and so are these guys. But each of these people, their names are from Greek mythology, and they are gods and goddesses, or titans even. And titans is something quite interesting, because Atlas himself is a titan, and he was punished by Hades, or Zeus, one or the other, to hold up the earth and the heavens as a punishment. And the abyss, when it comes to lore of the whole thing. I mean, when we got the Abyss update, I thought we was going to get invaded by another dimension, and Hades was going to be the ruler of said dimension, and I thought all hell was going to break loose. I thought we was going to get a combat update all the way back then, but it wasn't to be. The knowledge stones that you have to go find, 3 of which, again, they don't really allude to too much. Now, in Greek mythology, there are 3 sisters of the moon, which again ties into knowledge in Greek mythology, but I don't think that plays much into this. Now, this is a bit strange. It's a Gek monolith. I haven't actually Googled the name of that monolith. I don't believe it's any sort of Greek connection there at all, or anything like that. But it does mention here about occultists and things like that, and it actually mentions a race this time. It's a Gek occultists. A lot of the time it's always traveller this, or anomaly that, or disturbance this, and disturbance that. But this is a little bit different. And there was none of the crackles and things against your exosuit. There was no sort of interference with my personal self this time. It was more of a mental thing. It was all happening inside of my head. There was no sort of... Yeah, it's moved from being machine-like to being up here now. So it looks like it's moved from the outside of the exosuit to inside the freaking brain. Who knows? But anyway, back to the Abyss. And so the Abyss is also known as Tartarus inside Greek mythology, and that's where a lot of the titans are actually housed or held against their will or imprisoned. And it's kind of like the in-between of Hades and the world of the dead, the river of Styx, and all that sort of thing. And that the animus beam is interesting as a word, because that's Greek mythology, and the animus beam is to make things inanimate and take their souls out of things, which we did for the living ships. It all ties into Greek mythology and the river of Styx, Hades, and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm going to put a link up there anyway to my lore of the Traveller's Lore, because in the Traveller's Lore, a lot of this is sort of mentioned there. When you go to the appearance modifier, the default, anomaly, not traveller. So when Ariadne was saying about we're not travellers, maybe not. They're all anomalies just like us. I mean, we can change our visages to one of theirs. You know, I could run around looking like Ariadne if I wanted to, if I got it from the Quicksilver agent. And Apollo made the synthesis droid, and the synthesis droid gives out those visages. So it could be that Apollo and Nada have made each of these different Greek representations of gods for whatever reason we don't know. It could be that they're going to be our compondres in raising battle against a new enemy type. I mean, Helios here, he's the god of the sun. Ares, god of frickin' war. Frickin' the god of war. Yeah, and Kronos, you don't really want to read about him. He kind of killed his own kids and ate them. But yeah, but it just so happens he's the one that you give food to, and he's a glutton in this as well. So it's like they have kind of tied some of the Greek story elements to some of the characters that we know loosely of, you know. But anyway, freaking awesome. So this could be Olympia. You know, the anomaly that we're on could be like the gods of Olympus. It could be we're on Zeus's machine, the eye of the sky. Who knows? But yeah, something that I think, if we are to get a new enemy type, there is an area of space. When you're going around on the galactic map, you're looking for ones that say unknown or data unknown towards the bottom. So you see with the conflict level, you want it to say unknown, and they're quite rare to come across. It's probably one in every, I don't know, 50 stars or something. But here you go, there's one there. So data unavailable is what you want. Data unavailable, not data unknown. You hit that and go there on one of the ones with the conflict zone that says data unknown or unavailable. And yeah, you're going to find an abandoned station. Now, there is no reason whatsoever at the moment to go to abandoned systems because there's not much there. All the actual outposts on the planets, there's nobody there. There's nothing. I mean, what these systems do have is a station. But it's not like stations like normal stations. There's nobody in there yet. They're smashed to buggery as well. And when you fly in there with red lights flashing, there's a real horrible feel to them. And they've been adding new sound effects in there for some time now. They sound super dang creepy now. Before, they had the odd sort of like spark type sound and sounded very machine-like. But now, these are sounding very sort of like organic. And there's like almost screamy type noises of like metal rubbing on metal and things. It's freaking eerie as. Now, when you go inside of these little structures and you're looking around them, you're going to see the same sort of pus that you see in abandoned buildings in normal systems. So it's almost like these are corrupted somehow with organic matter. Now, some people are saying that maybe it's the Korvax that are going to rise up as an enemy against us alongside the Sentinels. But all this organic matter, to me, it feels like we might get some sort of new organic enemy. You know, a bit like the living ships. I'm imagining the bad guys are going to look a little bit more organic and a little bit more like our living ships. Now, the funny thing to note in here is if you've got the Atlas pass, you can actually let yourself into these back rooms. And in these back rooms, everything is untouched. It's still got power. There's no pus. There's no nothing. It's protected. Atlas pass may be protected by the Atlas. Maybe the Atlas has managed to stave off these rooms for some reason. Maybe in some of these rooms we're going to find some sort of relic of the Atlas, or be more likely to find a remembrance station. I mean, I haven't been to many of these places, and I found quite a fair few that have had remembrance stations behind the locked doors. Again, you can see there's a load of pus there, wires, things like that, but I figured I'd check the door anyway, and long and behold, Atlas Station. So on normal mode, I've already gone through and done all of the Atlas lore. So this is step 1 of the Atlas lore, because I'm in creative mode just to make this quick video. So yeah, here we go. So you can read this, and you can take into account here that the Atlas is actually recognizing its creator. Now, we've been made as the creator's image. So we are an anomaly. It's the Atlas's, which is the main computer, the simulation that we're all in, approximation of what their creator is. And we don't know whether their creator is human or anomaly or whatever, but they've created us to try and save them from the inside. They feel, well, you're my creator, maybe you can help me with this corruption, and we've been created and brought into this iteration. So it's like a cycle of repetition, a repetitive cycle. Repetition isn't a repetition. Repetition is a word. It is a word. Yeah, it's a word. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. So I think if there is going to be a new enemy, we're going to see them appearing in these abandoned sort of systems. Now, in these abandoned systems, you also get those exotic planets. You know, the redacted ones with the boundary failures on them. So I'm wondering whether this is where you would go to find that new threat, the PvE element. Because at the end of the day, there are 3 pillars that make up No Man's Sky, and, you know, fighting, surviving is kind of part and parcel of that. And at the moment, we don't really have that, not when you're fully tooled up. You're kind of OP. You're almost godlike yourself, to be fair. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense. With the Traveller lore, which I gave a link to earlier, I suggest you watch the full playlist, because there's some crazy stuff in there, like even multi-swords and all sorts of other crazy stuff. A mention of a king of a different universe that's going to come and crush us all. Yeah. So all the lore is moving that way. The boundary failure lore as well is moving that way. Some of this Atlas type stuff that we just saw in that back room kind of hints at everything collapsing and sheer desperation of the Atlas. If we didn't get some sort of update to PvP, I'd be freaking mind blown. I freaking would. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, the Atlas is crumbling, and it's pretty much on its knees. It's calling out for our help, and I don't know whether Nada is helping the situation, and whether these disturbances are actually maybe making the disturbance rise and bubble. I mean, let's face it, we've all been running around like headless frickin' chickens doing stuff. Has it got any better? Heck no. It seems to be getting worse. It's moved to our frickin' minds. Well, that's my thoughts and feelings on it. Goodbye for now. Until next week. Bye-bye. There are multiple ways to support my channel, Patreon being one of those. Those are all my Patreon backers. Thanking you, Patreon backers, heck yes. And I also have YouTube membership. Now, there are different tiers on Patreon and YouTube membership. Be sure to check both out before making a decision. Or if you prefer merch, head on over to Teespring, grab yourself a gnarly mug or a t-shirt or something else, heck yes. Or hit a like, a subscribe or that notification bell, or leave a comment. I love reading comments. Or just don't skip the adverts. That throws revenue down my avenue. Hit one of these tiles on the screen. Stay with Captain Stephen X so that little bit longer. Thanking you.